is often the first step to coming back.
Oh, here we go.
Nature documentary.
This is so
Humans can
funny.
get lost so easily because there's so many ways to be found. A giraffe has 0 ways to be found, and so has 0 ways of getting lost. You never see a giraffe and think, that guy's lost.
Remember
always
back
just
when
a
you'd buy
giraffe.
DVDs
So
and
you
on the
return.
DVD cover it'd tell you explicitly
Eventually.
whether or not it was
For
widescreen?
the morning.
Yeah? What about it?
No, I just think that's kind of a blast from the past, like seeing the big widescreen logo on top of stuff. Because I just saw this while I was looking through the search inquiry Slaughterhouse-5 memes.
I got another cool DVD for ya.
Okay. Yes, that is quite accurate, I would say.
Yeah, I'm not really that sure that'd be up your alley. I think this is like, I think you're probably more into this.
No, I actually watched the entirety of How I Met Your
Yeah.
Mother like 4 times now.
I did as well, but with my sister,
Uh,
my older sister.
How you fucked your sister?
No, no.
I don't think that's appropriate, sir.
How
I
old is
can
your sister, man?
29 now.
So she's a millennial.
Yeah, yeah. I guess
Yeah.
Born in 91 or 92?
I have no idea,
Huh.
but she's almost she's heading into her 30s. But the jam. Now that we have everything sorted out,
Uh-huh.
you wanna get us started on page 51, back where
Oh,
we left
yes, of
off.
course. I don't think Trout's ever been out of the country, Rosewater went on. My god, he writes about Earthlings all the time, and they're all Americans. Practically nobody is an American. Where's he live, one she asked. Nobody knows, Rosewater replied. I'm the only person who ever heard of him, as far as I can tell. No, 2 books have the same publisher, and every time I write him in care of a publisher, the letter comes back because the publisher had failed. He changed the subject now, congratulated Vunchi on her engagement ring. Thank you, she said, and held it out so Rosewater could get a close look. Billy got that diamond in the war. That's the attractive thing about war, said Rosewater. Absolutely everybody gets a little something. With regard to the whereabouts of Kilgore Trout, he actually lived in Ilium, Billy's hometown, friendless and despised. Billy would meet him by and by. Billy, said Vunchi Marble. Do you want to talk about our silver pattern? Sure. We got narrowed down pretty much to either Royal Danish or Rambler Rose. Rambler Rose, said Billy. It isn't something we should rush into, she said. I mean, it's whatever we decide on. That's what we're going to have to live with for the rest of our lives. Billy studied the pictures. Royal Danish, she said at last. Colonial Moonlight is nice too. Yes, it is, said Billy Pilgrim. Billy traveled in time to zoo on Tralfamadore. He was 44 years old on display under Billy traveled in time to zoo on
Hello,
a
Lucas.
geodesic.
Lucasaurus. Lucasaurus.
Ah, yeah.
Oh, what's up?
Yo.
Are you familiar with this book?
I have no idea. I just Google talk.
Okay. Here's your client.
I guess this is like a science fiction wartime story about
Seems legit.
What would you say it's about, the jam, before we continue?
Well, in my honest opinion, I'd say it's a man dealing with what happens after the war.
Ah.
Where I'd say that a lot of the Tralfamadorian stuff is more almost his mind trying to cope with what he had been through.
Like I think you'd call it an allegory, right?
Yeah, I would say that, and I would also say that, the time skips, those are more like PTSD flashbacks than anything, and, he will have them throughout life, or his mind will drift away and think of the Midorians as kind of an escape.
Okay.
But,
Huh.
back to the book. He was reclining on the lounge chair, which had been, his cradle during his trip through space. He was naked. The Midorians were interested in the body, all of it. There were thousands of them outside, holding up their little hands so their eyes could see him. Billy had been on Midor for 6 Earthling months now. He was used to the crowd. Escape was out of the question. The atmosphere outside the dome was so cyanide, and Earth was 446,120,000,000,000,000,000,000 miles away.
I don't see
Billy
why
was
they can't use scientific notation here.
I suppose it's the type of thing that it's better read in your head, where your brain just kind of shorthands itself to like, oh yeah, that's a lot.
That's
But
okay, so that's a million, billion, trillion, quadrillion. How much is a parsec?
that's a very good question.
It's a
Parsec
certain
is
distance. I think isn't it the distance between us and the nearest galaxy? Or like how long it
Probably.
take or something. I think it's like 7 light years.
equal to 3.26 light years.
I was like half, right?
Approximately 200,000 AU. I'm sure you guys are familiar with what an AU is, right?
I've heard of it.
It's
Yeah, I
the
believe I
distance
have as
between
well.
the distance between the Earth and the Sun.
Okay.
Makes
Yeah, that's easy.
Let's see. 13. Hold on. Let's see. 8. 6. And that million, trillion, so that's way more than 1 parsec. I'd say that's about, well, we could find out. They always get these details in these science fiction stories about the lengths of just how big the universe really is. So let's see how this one is. Just for fun, right?
Naturally.
all in good fun. Putting
Yes.
in multiple digits, all in good fun. .45 parsecs.
That's quite a few parsecs.
That's quite a bit, parsecs.
Uh,
14 parsecs.
that's
joke.
more. That's more than how many parsecs Han Solo claimed to have made the Kessel Run in.
Yeah, that's the joke that I'm apparently finding out about.
Isn't it double?
He claimed to do it in 12 parsecs, while this is 14, so
I
I'd
thought
say...
it was 7. My bad. Retarded.
Oh, it's okay.
He claims that the Falcon made the Kessel Run in less than 12 parsecs, but a parsec is a unit of distance, not time. What's the deal?
Yeah. It's obvious that George Lucas either did not do his research, or he kind of did it as a joke of Han Solo trying to trick the
I don't think
naive...
George Lucas. I think he just overlooked that.
Yeah, probably. I mean, even then, it's a science fiction universe, so...
Maybe it's a different. Maybe they use different units of measurement.
Yeah. Oh yeah, should I continue reading?
I did stop you, didn't I?
No, it's okay. Billy was displayed there in a zoo in a simulated Earthling habitat. Most of the furnishings had been stolen from Sears and Roebuck Warehouse in Iowa City, Iowa. There was a color television set and a couch that could be converted into a bed. There were end tables with lamps and ashtrays on them by the couch. There was a home bar and 2 stools and a little pool table. There was a wall-to-wall carpeting in federal gold, except in the kitchen and bathroom areas, and over the iron manhole cover in the center of the floor. There were magazines arranged in a fan on the coffee table in front of the couch.
Okay. There was a stereophonic photograph. Stereophonic. The phonograph worked. The television didn't. There was a picture of one cowboy and another one? Of one cowboy and another one passed
Pasted, I think.
pasted to the television tube. So it goes.
So it goes.
There were no wall in the dome, nor place for Billy to hide. The mint green bathroom fixtures were right out in the open. Billy got off his lounge chair now, went into the bathroom to take a leak. The crowd went wild. Billy brushed his teeth on Tralfamador, put his partial denture, and went into his kitchen. His bottled gas range and his refrigerator and his dishwasher were mint green, too. There was a picture painted on the door of the refrigerator. The refrigerator had come that way. It was a picture of it was a picture of a gay 19th couple on a bicycle built for 2. There's a word for that. What's that called?
Tandem bicycle?
Yeah, I think that's it. Billy looked at the picture now, trying to think something about the couple. Nothing came to him. There didn't seem to be anything to think about those 2 people. I wonder why this would be importance of clarification.
I think maybe this is just Kurt Vonnegut saying that, you don't really need to pay mind much to background details. Possibly.
Billy ate a good breakfast from cans. Is that canned drip that we were hearing about earlier?
Oh, yes. Finally, canned drip.
And go, Jake.
Why is canned coochie more funny
SpongeBob.
than canned drip? The jam. Can you answer me?
Because coochie is a sexual word and sex equals funny. Ha ha.
I'm minorly
No,
disappointed.
he's got a point.
Minorly
Coochie
disappointed in
means
your conduct,
pussy.
sir.
It means pussy. It means cunt. It means.
Project, you know we're live.
Don't say it. Don't say the scientific word. Don't do it.
What's the scientific word?
Means cervix.
Oh, I'm getting a
Vagina.
call apparently. Should I decline?
Oh shit! Is it a call from my
Bro.
parents? Shit! Oh no, no.
Alright, well, you
Okay, moving on. So Coochie. We were on Coochie, I believe.
yes.
It's just a cute way of saying crotch, right?
More specifically, the female crotch.
Yes. Well, you can talk
Yes.
about a coochie and talk about a guy as well, can't you?
No.
I
No?
don't believe so.
Are you sure?
Nope.
Yes.
No, you can't. No, you can't. You've been misinformed. Poor bastard.
Are you sure?
I am absolutely 100% positive.
I mean, if you say a guy's coochie, I mean, aren't you talking
That
about
doesn't make any sense.
Are you wearing headphones?
why is that breaking your language?
Well, it's kind of the same way of saying a woman's dick.
Well, a woman can say "suck my dick" and it makes sense.
It's yeah, but like
Well, it's
metaphor.
funny because it doesn't make sense because
No,
women
it's
do
funny
not have
because it
dicks.
actually is true.
Oh, you fucking
It
idiot!
is?
Yes.
Oh shit.
What are you sort of language, man?
If a girl says "suck my dick," she's a bad bitch. Like,
No, he has a point.
Is she? Is she? Is she
Yeah.
a bad bitch?
yeah.
She's a trans woman.
Oh, not exactly, Project.
Not a real woman. Let's.
Anyways, that's the last time you're gonna hear me cursing.
Or trans off. I don't know which one is how someone transitions from male to female, like fuck.
Project, you want to come back to this one?
I just wanna fun. I just wanna know what I just want you to continue.
Okay. Billy ate a good breakfast from cans. He washed his cup and plate and knife and fork and spoon and saucepan, put them away. He didn't exercise. He didn't exercises? Oh no. Then he did exercises he had learned in the army straddle jumps, knee bends, sit-ups, and push-ups. Most Tralfamadorians had no way of knowing Billy's body and face were not beautiful. They supposed that he was a splendid specimen. This had a pleasant effect on Billy, who began to enjoy his body for the first time. He showered after his exercises and trimmed his toenails. He shaved and sprayed deodorant under his arms, while a zoo guide on a raised platform outside explained that what Billy was doing and why. The guide was lecturing telepathically, simply standing there, sending out thought waves to the crowd. On the platform with him was the little keyboard instrument with which he would relay questions to Billy from the crowd. Now the first question came from the speaker on the television set. "Are you happy here?" "About as happy as I was on Earth," said Billy Pilgrim, which was true. There were 5 sexes on Tralfamador, each of them performing a step necessary in the creation of a new individual. They looked identical to Billy because their sex differences were all in the 4th dimension. And I suppose that's a reference to Rosewater's way of thinking, right?
I don't think I know myself. I am not familiar with that.
That sicknesses and whatnot couldn't be seen because they were in the fourth dimension.
Yeah. I suppose, well, everything about the Tralfamadorians is quite fourth dimensional, as they do not see time linearly.
They looked identical to Billy because their sex differences were all in the fourth dimension. One of the biggest moral bombshells handed to Billy by the Tralfamadorians incidentally had to do with sex on Earth. They said their flying saucer crews had identified no fewer than 7 sexes on Earth, each essential to reproduction. Again, Billy couldn't possibly imagine what 5 of those 7 sexes had to do with the making of a baby, since they were sexually active only in the fourth dimension. Tralfamadorians tried to give Billy clues that would help him imagine sex in the invisible dimension. Can we get some fanfic of that? Question mark? They told him that there could be no earthling babies without male homosexuals. There could be babies without female. There could
I think
be
that does call back to what you asked if he meant something by that.
by what?
The homosexual men on the bicycle.
Yeah, I guess it does.
But,
There
yeah.
wasn't anything to think about it because he wasn't looking in the fourth dimension. Hmm?
Oh, yeah.
Hmm? They told him that there could be no earthling babies without male homosexuals. There could be babies without female homosexuals. There couldn't be babies without women over 65 years old. There could be babies without men over 65. There couldn't be babies without other babies who had lived an hour or less after birth, and so on. It was gibberish to Billy.
Excuse you.
Go ahead.
Or me. That's... I tried to say excuse me, and I...
Go
said kind of-
ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, yeah, right. There was a lot that Billy said that was gibberish to the Tralfamadorians, too. They couldn't imagine what time looked like to him. Billy had given up on explaining that guide outside had to explain the best as he could. The guide invited the crowd to imagine they're looking across the desert at a mountain range on a day that was twinkling bright and clear. They could look at the peak or a bird or a cloud, at a stone right in front of them, or even down the canyon behind them. But among them, this poor earthling, his head was encased in steel sphere which he could never take off. There was only one eye hole through which he could look, and welded to that eye hole were 6 feet of pipe. This was the beginning of Billy's miseries in the metaphor. He was also strapped to a steel lattice, which was bolted to a flat car on rails. There was no way he could turn his head or touch the pipe. Far end of the pipe rested on a bipod, which was also bolted to the flat car. All Billy could see was the dot at the end of the pipe. He didn't know he was on a flat car. He didn't know there was anything in particular about the situation. The flat car sometimes crept, sometimes went extremely fast, oftentimes stopped, went uphill, downhill, around curves, along straightaways. Wherever poor Billy saw through the pipe, he had no choice but to say to himself, "That's life." Billy accept.
Do you remember where this line? Do you remember where this line came up in our previous
That's
reading?
what all people say.
Uh,
High in
It
April.
was when we did the
Shut
bibliomancy
down in
question for Rusty
May.
Cage. Remember that one?
oh yeah, I remember that.
Uh-huh. And he recently published his 3rd comic book.
Oh, good for him.
Yeah. So I guess he's doing well, all things considered.
I suppose so. So I guess he is not.
He's
Or
not
I
being
guess
tortured
maybe.
by his girlfriend.
Yeah. Billy expected the Trophmedorians to be baffled and alarmed by all the wars and other forms of murder on Earth. He expected them to fear the Earthling combination of ferocity and spectacular weaponry might eventually destroy part of maybe all the innocent universe. Science fiction had led him to expect that. But the subject of war never came up until Billy brought it up himself. Somebody in the zoo crowd asked him through the lecture what the most valuable thing he had learned on Trophmedor was so far. Billy replied how the inhabitants of a whole planet can live in peace. I, as you know, am from the planet that has engaged in senseless slaughter since the beginning of time. I myself have seen the bodies of schoolgirls who were boiled alive in a water tower by my own countrymen, who were proud of fighting in pure evil at the time. This was true. Billy had saw the boiled bodies in Dresden. And I have lit my way through prison at night with candles from fat of human beings who were butchered by the brothers and fathers of those schoolgirls who are now boiled. Earthlings must know be the terrors of the universe. If other planets aren't now in danger of Earth, they soon will be. So tell me a secret so I can take it back to Earth and save us all. How can a planet live at peace? Billy felt he had spoken soaringly. He was baffled when he saw the Trophmedorians close their little hands on their eyes. He knew from past experience what this meant. He was being stupid. Would you mind telling me, said to the guide much played, what was so stupid about all that? We know how the universe ends, said the guide, and Earth has nothing to do with it except that it gets wiped out too. How does the universe end? Said Billy.
We blow it up, experimenting with new fuels or our flying saucers. A Tralfamadorian test pilot presses a starter button, and the whole universe disappears. So it goes.
So it goes.
So the Tralfamadorians end the universe?
Uh-huh.
That's what happens.
Yeah, they already know how it ends because they see time as one thing all at once.
If you know this, said Billy, isn't there some way you can prevent it? Can't you keep the pilot from pressing the button? He has always pressed it, and he always will. We always let him, and we always will let him. The moment is structured in that way. The moment is structured that way. So, said Billy gropingly. That's a peculiar word, wouldn't you say?
I suppose so.
I suppose that the idea of preventing war on Earth is stupid too. Of course. But you do have a peaceful planet here. Today we do. On other days we have wars as horrible as any you've seen or read about. There isn't anything we can do about them. We simply don't look at them. We ignore them. We spend an eternity looking at pleasant moments like today at the zoo. Isn't that a nice moment? Yes. That's one thing Earthlings might learn to do. If they tried hard enough, ignore awful times and concentrate on the good ones. Said Billy Pilgrim. That's a heavy I suppose. Shortly, and this is related to what Kurt Vonnegut had to say in that video that we keep referencing. Did you?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
If anything, I would say that this is basically the thesis statement of, well, Kurt Vonnegut, but what do I know? I've just read this book.
I also think that Lucas Saros was there watching the video with us, but he just wasn't there when we actually started reading the book.
Yeah.
I have no idea what you're talking about. So
I would assume that you don't.
I just hear you talking about aliens and a guy who doesn't know what he's doing.
Yeah,
And I'm just like, you know what? Background.
background noise.
That's okay.
I'm pretty sure that's how Project uses it sometimes. So, peace in a pod, you two.
Yeah.
Shortly after he went to sleep that night, Billy traveled in time to another moment, which was quite nice. His wedding night was the former Valencia Merble. He had been out of the Veterans Hospital for 6 months. He was all well. He had graduated from the Ilium School of Optometry, third in his class of 47. 47. Is that a prime number?
I think so. And I think 3 is also a prime number.
Yeah, but that's an easy prime. It doesn't count.
Okay.
Well, if you put it together, you get 50, but I don't know what that does. Now he was in bed with Valencia in a delightful studio apartment. It was built on the end of a wharf on Cape Ann, Massachusetts. Across the water were the lights of Gloucester. Billy was on top of Valencia, making love to her. This is related to the sexual interactions that the Tralfamadorians were explaining previously, yes?
Yeah, I suppose you could say it like that.
So I guess we suppose we have babies who die an hour after birth and 65-year-old women to thank for their children?
Yeah. Also, don't forget the homosexual men.
Yes. Yes, of course. But not the homosexual women, okay? Because they don't matter in this equation.
Yeah, they don't really matter in the grand scheme of things. Same
They
thing
don't
with
matter in real life too.
Hey, don't go there. Don't go there.
It was a joke.
Okay, come on. Can you at least respect the line, okay? We're trying
Well,
to
I did say it.
we're trying to stay on the line, but you just broke
What
it. You took a
what line?
hammer.
it's okay.
You took a hammer and you threw it at the glass wall that me and the Jam were trying to clean.
Oh well, you see,
That's what you see.
they do say that destruction is a form.
You know, I don't want to hear it, okay? I don't. Okay? I don't want to hear
That's
it.
how I feel whenever we play Game Dev Tycoon.
Yeah, wait. I'm
Couldn't
sure
you have
Jam.
said something else a little bit more better than that?
More
That's
better.
not a word.
Something
That's a
else
dumb-
that wasn't the first thing that came to mind.
No, that's my job is to say dumb shit. That's literally my purpose.
You see how disappointed I am, the Jam?
Yeah, and I
Huh.
fucking love it.
I'm glad you're disappointed in me, because you should be.
You see
You
what
weren't,
I mean? You see what I mean? That's the first thing that came into his head. Why couldn't you say the second thing? The
I
second
didn't have
thing would have
anything else
been
coming
much
to my head.
better.
That's the thing. I had nothing else in my head except that.
Okay, then say nothing.
No, that's stupid. I'd rather say something that makes somebody laugh than say nothing and nobody.
Well, are you laughing?
I did laugh. I thought it was. I did
I
say
also
so
thought it
myself.
was funny.
All right,
Exactly.
All
See?
right. You know what, Project?
You're the only one who didn't find it. Just
I didn't find it funny because I refused to find it funny.
Well,
Well,
that's
then that's
your
just
that's your own
racist.
decision, man.
I refuse to believe that that is the best that you could do.
Oh, I could do better, but I don't want. Too much work.
There you go again, saying the first thing that came into your head.
What are you talking about? Fucking.
Well, shortly after, okay, they're having sex. One result of this act would be the birth of Robert Pilgrim, okay, who would become a problem in high school, but who would then straighten out as a member of the famous Green Beret. berets. It's a French
Yeah, I
word.
believe it's pronounced beret.
Valencia wasn't a time traveler, but she did have a lively imagination. While Billy was making love to her, she imagined that she was a famous woman in history. She was being Queen Elizabeth I of England, and Billy was supposedly Christopher Columbus. A bit of colonialization happening here, yes.
Colonize that pussy.
You see, that was a bit more creative. Billy made a noise like a small rusty hinge. He had just emptied his seminal vesicles into Valencia. A rusty hinge.
You know, like.
Oh. Oh, right. I thought it was the other thing. But it was. I get it.
Okay.
He had contributed his share of the Green Beret. According to all the Tralfamadorians, of course, the Green Beret would have 7 parents in all. 7 parents. Oh yeah, the 7 genders. I mean, sexes? 7 sexes?
Yeah, I believe so.
Now he rolled off his huge wife, whose rapt expression, rapt as in rapture, to those who are wondering,
Okay.
whose rapt expression did not change when he departed. He lay with the buttons of his spine along the edge of the mattress, folded his hands behind his head. He was rich now. He had been rewarded for marrying a girl nobody in his right mind would have married. His father-in-law had given him a new Buick Roadmaster, an all-electric home, and had made him a manager of his most prosperous office, his Ilium office, where Billy could expect to make at least $30,000 a year. This was good. His father had only been a barber. As his
What
mother's
year though? Like, what is
I
30,000
think
then?
I think the year is probably like, well, considering Billy Pilgrim's about 30 now, and this was after the events of World War II, like the 1940s, I suppose.
Huh.
Or possibly even the 50s.
Well, that makes sense then.
Yeah.
As his mother said, the Pilgrims are coming up in the world. The honeymoon.
Oh, yes, right. The honeymoon was taking place in the bittersweet miseries of Indian summer in New England. Laura's apartment had one romantic wall, which was all French doors. They'd open onto a balcony and the oily harbor beyond. A green and orange dragger, black in the night, drumbled and drummed past their balcony, not 30 feet from their wedding bed. It was going to sea with only its running lights on. Its empty holds were resonant, made the song of the engines rich and loud. The wharf began to sing the same song when the honeymooners heard headboard sang too, and continued to sing long after the dragger was gone. Thank you, said Valencia at last. The headboard was singing a mosquito song. You're welcome. It was nice. I'm glad. She began to cry. What's the matter? I'm so happy. Good. I never thought anybody would marry me.
That's the
Said
second
Billy
time you
Pilgrim.
said by the way.
Indeed. Going to lose weight for you, she said. What? I'm going to go on a diet. I'm going to become beautiful for you. I like you just the way you are. Do you really? Really, said Billy Pilgrim. Had already seen a lot of their marriage thanks to time travel, knew it was going to be at least bearable all the way. A great motor yacht named the Shenhierzade now slid past the marriage bed. Huh? The song, its ended sang a very low organ note. All her lights were on. Two beautiful people, a young man and a young woman in evening clothes, were at the rail high at the stem, loving each other and their dreams in the wake. They were honeymooning too. They were Lance Roomford of Newport, Rhode Island, and his bride. The former Cynthia Laundrie, who had been a childhood sweetheart of John F. Kennedy in Hyannisport, Massachusetts. There was a slight coincidence here. Billy Pilgrim would later share a hospital room with Roomford's uncle, Professor Bertram Copeland Roomford of Harvard, official historian of the United States Air Force. When the beautiful people were past, Valencia questioned her funny-looking husband about war. There was a simple-minded thing for a female Earthlings do, to associate sex and glamour with war. "You ever think about the war?" she said, laying a hand on his thigh. "Sometimes," said Billy Pilgrim. "I look at you sometimes," said Valencia, "and I get a funny feeling you're full of secrets."
What did they say? Love is a battlefield?
Yeah, I believe that is what they say sometimes, but
Not so much anymore, would you say?
I guess I wouldn't know myself, but I guess this is kind of Kurt Vonnegut's way of saying, these two things that are so far apart sometimes can't seem closer.
Um, should I continue?
Yeah, of course.
Oh, wait, before we do, can you elaborate a little bit on what you said earlier?
Well, I suppose love and war, both, feeling far apart are
Well, it's not
is
love
because war.
exactly, it's sex and glamour.
Well, yeah, sex and glamour and war and battlefield is, sex is the act of creating more people, while war is, the act of getting rid of people. But since they're so related to each other, because often the causes of the both of them are quite intertwined, like, for example, in Homer's, I believe, the Iliad, uh, an entire war that sparked off thousands of deaths is all because of just, two people fighting over one woman.
What? No. Uh, well, the reason I'm so silent is because I'm not exactly sure I get the metaphor.
Okay.
It just doesn't seem
That's all right.
related. The way you're putting it together doesn't seem quite right.
I
Wait,
suppose.
put it together again. Maybe I'm not trying to understand what we were talking about. I kind of spaced out.
Oh, well, it's like talking about, how sex and war are like two concepts that are very far apart, as one is the creation of life and one is, synonymous with the ending of life. And yet the reasons that both of these happen are quite intertwined. Like, the example I used was the Iliad, which is Homer's Odyssey about the one of the greatest wars of, I believe it was Greek and Trojan civilization, that was sparked off because two men were fighting over the affection of one woman.
No, I think this one is different, see? Here. Allow me to read this again. When the beautiful people were past, Valencia questioned her funny-looking husband about war. It was a simple-minded thing for a female Earthling to do, to associate sex and glamour with war. Do you ever think about the war, she said, laying a hand on his thigh. I think this is the important part. Sometimes, Billy Pilgrim said. So she's getting turned on by the fact that he was a soldier.
Oh yeah, because like like he fought for the country.
Yeah, I think it's less to do about the association with war and sex, and more to do about the attraction that Valencia has for Billy.
I feel like I'm in English class. I don't like it. Actually, no, I like this a little bit more. Because my teacher's not I'm not listening to her fucking bitch talk about whatever she wants to talk about her and I.
I
You
like
know,
how
I actually agree with you. It reminds me of English class quite a bit, but it reminds me of the parts I liked about it where, you actually got to talk about what you're thinking about instead of shutting up and listening to what someone has to say.
For real.
Why do white women drive like shit?
No
I
idea.
don't know.
Is it like a white woman thing?
Oh, maybe
I
it's
have
because
no
they're
idea, Project. Do you think Valencia is a bad driver? Before you answer the question.
I would say that she's a quite good driver, considering events that transpire later.
Do you think she drove the marriage?
Yeah, I'd say that it's nearly a one-sided relationship, and she's the one that puts a lot in.
I think that that's explained here.
Yeah.
I don't think you ever want to hear after you tell someone, I never thought anybody would marry me. I don't think is what you want to hear.
Yeah.
Maybe the guy is just bad at expressing. I don't know. Maybe that's not the right character. Maybe he just doesn't know what to say.
Yeah.
Yeah, but at the same time, I'm not gonna cut this guy some slack. You know what I'm saying?
This
Well,
is
I
pretty
mean, to be
basic.
fair, she had a good life with her, her relationship. She found it fulfilling, and it appears that he did as well. He said that it was a marriage that was mostly good.
Yeah.
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 Your turn to go.
Oh, yes. I'm not, said Billy. This was a lie, of course. He hadn't told anyone about the time traveling he'd done, about Tralfmador and so on. Must have street secrets about the war. Or not secrets, I guess, but things you don't want to talk about. No, I'm proud you were a soldier, you know that. Good. Was it awful? Sometimes a crazy thought now occurred to Billy. The truth of it startled him. It would make a good epitaph for Billy Pilgrim and for me too. Will you talk about the war now if I wanted you to? Said Valencia in a tiny cavity in her great body. She was assembling the materials for Green Beret. It sounded like a dream, said Billy. Other people's dreams aren't very interesting, usually. I heard you tell father one time about a German firing squad. She was referring to the execution of poor old Edgar Derby. You had to bury him? Yes. Did he see you with your shovels before he was shot? Yes. Did he say anything? It was beautiful, nothing hurt. No. Is he scared?
Was that what he said?
No.
So why does it say everything is beautiful and nothing hurt in big, bold letters?
I think that's what Billy Pilgrim kind of wished that things would be like. Like, he's looking back on these horrible events and he kind of wishes that it was like that. And while they doped him up, he was sort of glassy eyed and they pinned a target to him. A piece of paper said Billy. He got out of bed, said, "Excuse me," went to the darkness of the bathroom and took a leap. He groped for the light, realized as he felt the rough wall he had traveled back to 1944 to the prison hospital again. Candle in the hospital had gone out. Poor old Edgar Derby had fallen asleep on the cot next to Billy. Billy was out of bed, groping along a wall, trying to find a way out because he had to take a leak so badly.
More groping, I see.
Yes. More groping.
What kind of groping are you people into?
Lucas and Rhodes, please. Please? Okay. I feel like you're groping us right now, so can you let us be?
It's okay. I'm okay with Lucas.
Oh.
No, sorry. He suddenly found a door which opened, let him reel out into the prison light. Billy was loony with time travel and morphine. He delivered himself to a barbed wire fence which snagged him in a dozen places. Billy tried to back away from it, but the barbs wouldn't let go. So Billy did a silly little dance with the fence, taking a step this way, that way, and returning to the beginning again. Rushing himself out in the night to take a leak, saw Billy dancing from the other side of the fence. Came over to the curious Scarecrow, tried to talk with it gently, asking what country it was from. Scarecrow paid no attention, went on dancing.
Okay. You want to talk about that groping bit for a bit?
Yes.
Sure.
Okay.
I think it's just well, it paints a very vivid picture in your head of what he's doing with both the lights and the walls, where like when you're not really able to see anything, you're just kind of
Well, it's not a
sitting there.
coincidence. It's not a coincidence that we're getting these very, I don't know, creative expressions of sex and also this word.
Yeah.
Here, it was first said here in the conversation with the Tralfamadorians about not changing moments in history. And he said, "So," Billy said gropingly, "I suppose the idea of preventing war on Earth is stupid too." Yeah.
I suppose that just means that Kurt Vonnegut's kind of using the word grope as almost kind of a description of the most natural emotion that a human can feel, of just, kind of unknowingness and desire to learn.
In a sexual way.
Well, I suppose it doesn't have to have that type of connotation. It's just given that, and well, the connotation that it does have, I suppose, does lend to the certain type of picture that you get in your head when you hear it. But I guess that's just English. Yeah.
Do you think that Valencia is groping in a way for the light with Billy?
Yeah, I suppose so. I mean, that's probably the best thing that has happened to her in her life. Because, as she said, I didn't think that anyone would marry me.
It seems to be on some level in my head that that this groping is a way of kind of like a blind person with a walking stick.
Yeah, I'd agree with that because while it's used in a lot of contexts of someone that doesn't exactly understand what they're doing, so they're just using like their most basic senses to try and figure out what is going on.
Which is, I suppose, the desire to reproduce.
I guess you could say that.
So I go.
Yeah.
So the Russian undid the snags one by one, and the Scarecrow danced off into the night again without a word of thanks. The Russian waved to him and called after him in Russian, "Goodbye." Do you know how to say goodbye in Russian?
I do not know off the top of my head.
Is it how to show? Is it that?
Let me check. So the most popular way to say goodbye in Russian is "Das Vidanya,"
Oh, das
which
Vidanya.
translates to "until we meet again."
Oh.
Прощай.
Kind of
Okay,
like
so
the
then,
new.
what's das Vidanya? Why did that come into my head?
I do not know.
Das Vidanya, goodbye or bye-bye in Russian. Okay, so das Vidanya is a way of saying goodbye.
It is. I suppose that makes sense.
Why is it?
До свидания.
For some reason it's not coming up. I guess it is. I guess das Vidanya. What did you give me?
Let me pull it back up. I said Dasi Danya. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I may have slightly butchered.
It's okay. I don't know why people say butchered when they say that they mispronounce something.
I suppose like the best way to think of it is like, the
It's sliced and fucked with.
well, it's like imagine
A
the word
violated
pronounced
creature.
correctly is a cow, but when you kind of like, mispronounce it like or use incorrect
Shred to little
timing.
bits of meat and murdered.
Why is
It's
the
fucking
mispronunciation of a word considered death?
because because of how little people are because of how unseriously people are taken when they're mispronounced when they mispronounce shit.
So they have to overcompensate and apologize for killing something?
No,
So then what?
now that I think about it, this is a way of me trying to avoid defeat. Now that I think about it, you're right. It doesn't make sense. And also, when I said sliced and murdered. It kind of sounded like a cringy vegan.
I guess so. What are your thoughts on this one? Kind of wants to make me say so it goes. The GM.
And
So it goes.
away we go.
I don't know why do you have to say sorry for butchering? Anyways.
Well, I suppose if you are, a person that respects language, to kind of take the beauty of a word and kind of mangle it beyond recognition, that you are kind of butchering it.
You're killing it.
Yes.
Yeah. What do you want it to say? Do you want it to do you want do you want him to say sorry for party rocking your name?
Well, you did. You. It's in a way, it's trivializing the act of killing something. In a way.
Well, I mean, to be fair, death has already kind of trivialized itself.
I mean, you could say that about anything. I think it's fucking dumb.
No, you can't say that about anything, Project.
Like when someone gets injured in slapstick and someone says, "Hey, he fucking died," and someone watching it goes, "Hey, he fucking died." That's just kind of dumb.
Well, it's not the same. It's not on the same level because it's personal. When you say sorry for butchering it, you've personalized it. Now you've become the killer. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
in
think
the
so.
same. Yeah, in the same. Yeah, but it's also like.
Yes.
Sorry for body rock. I don't know what. I
Party
don't know how
rock
to
is in
finish
the
it.
house tonight.
Anyways, so the word is das vidanya, apparently. Billy took his pecker out. Billy took his pecker out. There in the prison night, he peed and peed on the ground. Then he put it away. Again, more or less, contemplated a new problem, where he had come from and where he should go now. Somewhere in the middle of the night, there were cries of grief. With nothing better to do, Billy shuffled in their direction. He wondered what tragedy so many had found to lament out of doors. Billy was approaching without knowing it. The back of the latrine. Billy was approaching without knowing it the back of the latrine. It consisted of a one-railed fence with 12 buckets underneath it. The fence was sheltered on 3 sides by a screen of scrap lumber and flattened tin cans. The open side faced a black carpet.
I think tar paper.
The open side faced a black tar paper wall of the shed where the feast had taken place. Okay. Billy moved along the screen and reached a point where he could see a message freshly painted on the tar paper wall. The words were written with the same pink paint which had brightened the set for Cinderella. Again, another allusion to Cinderella. I think this is the second time, yeah?
Yeah.
Billy's perceptions were so unreliable that he saw the words as hanging in air, painted on a transparent curtain, perhaps. And there were lovely silver dots on the curtain, too. These were really nailheads holding the tar paper to the shed. Billy could not imagine how the curtain was supported in nothingness. And he supposed that the magic curtain and the theatrical grief were a part of some religious ceremony he knew nothing about. Here is what the message said. Please leave us. This latrine. Please leave this latrine as tidy as you found it. Billy looked inside the latrine. The wailing was coming from in there. The place was crammed with Americans who had taken their pants down. The welcome feast he had made them as sick as what? The welcome feast had made them as sick as volcanoes. The buckets were full of it's 2 a.m. for me currently. I think the words
Yeah.
I think the words are starting to get jumbled in my head. How far are we, by the way?
We have
Hello, Big Six.
I think about 4 more pages left because 62 is the last page of the chapter.
Yo, Big Dicks, what's up, Chief? Not much, man. What's going on? You guys reading something? Yeah, they're reading a book about time travel and shit. I'm just listening to it. Oh.
I guess this is a book about time travel, would you say?
Huh?
I said
Sorry.
I guess this is a book about time travel, wouldn't you say?
Oh yeah,
Well,
yeah.
couldn't I say that like Donnie Dark about time travel? Because like I have a hard time explaining that movie.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know how to fuck up shit explain it. Like they're like, what is it about? I'm like, I don't know. It's good. Okay, I can't explain it.
Have you watched Donnie Darko the Gem?
Yeah, I've watched Donnie Darko many times.
Would you say that there's a thematic connection between Donnie Darko and Slaughterhouse-5?
Potentially, I'd probably have to think about it.
Okay. Does Donnie Darko pop in and out of time?
No, it's just that there's like a loop that like happens. He has traveled back in time to
Donnie
save.
Darko's less about conventional time travel and more about precognition. But Donnie Darko does actually kind of follow the idea of freaking what is it? You know how the Trophmandorians were saying that the moment of the end of the universe that they cause has always happened and always will?
Yeah.
Well, Donnie Darko, along with precognition, is about the idea everything's already kind of predetermined and it is simply up to yourself to follow the path chosen for you. But at the same time, it's almost kind of not like that.
Because then Donnie
I think
said like
Donnie
have to
actively
save.
fights against what's going to happen, right?
Like only if you travel within God's channel, try to stay out of it.
Donnie's actually pretty complicit in his fate.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
does seem like kind of like whatever happens, happens. I don't care. But then
Oh.
it seems like in the end, his goal is to, actually save her. I mean, otherwise he wouldn't, I mean, I guess because like all the things that already happened, he didn't give a shit. I don't know. He kind of seemed like when he was gonna die, he just started laughing. So obviously it didn't bother him too much.
You seem to enjoy this movie quite a lot, Lucas Silver.
I have the big download.
You have the whole movie downloaded on your computer?
Yes, I do.
Oh yeah, I should download it too.
Actually, I was gonna say, do you want it, but I can't post.
Well, the question is, do you have the biggest cut then?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm gonna download the biggest cut and like.
Let's see, where do I have it saved? In here, I believe. Yep, right here.
You have the Joso cut.
Joso cut.
Just the big. Put it in big back. I put it in bring back Fred. See, it's right there.
Nice.
How many gigabytes? It's 7.8.
I suppose it's worth mentioning that the painted on a transparent curtain, perhaps. I believe the last time curtains were mentioned was the Valencian curtains. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
So does the Valencian curtains have anything to do with Cinderella? Where does Cinderella conventionally take place? Is it in is it Ben?
I think Valencian is just kind of catch-all term. Maybe not catch-all term, but like an idea for Valencian has a similar root word to Valentine, and I guess Cinderella is one of the oldest love stories in the world, but I feel like I might be kind of grasping at straws here because
No. I misremembered. They weren't curtains; they were drapes. That's what they were. Right? Were they drapes? Draperies, as are draperies. Valencian blinds, they were.
Yeah, that's right.
And blinds are curtains, right? Or what are they?
Yeah, blinds are pretty much curtains, but like, you have the drawstring to like move them up and down.
There seems to be many words for curtains in this book. Blinds, drapes, and curtains.
Yeah, I guess all of them are just the idea of, yeah, they're all different types of things that are used for obstruction of people's views inside of your
house
room.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Billy looked inside the latrine. The wailing was coming from in there. The place was crammed with Americans who had taken their pants down. The welcome feast had made them as sick as volcanoes. The buckets were full or had been kicked over. And I guess sick as volcanoes means that they're erupting. Yeah, throwing up.
Yes, indeed.
An American near Billy waited that he had excreted everything but his brains. Moments later he said, "There they go. There they go." He meant his brains. That was I. That was me. That was the author of this book. Is this how should we feel about this one? Is it too on the nose, would you say?
I feel like that's him kind of reminding you that he was in fact there.
Oh, like he was
Kurt
in
Vonnegut.
Oh, yes. I guess some of these situations that he's describing, he actually lived through then.
Well, yeah, Kurt Vonnegut was in Dresden when the bombings occurred.
Okay.
And in fact, The first chapter of this book is almost an autobiography in itself.
Yeah. Billy reeled away from his version of hell. He passed 3 Englishmen who were watching the excrement festival from a distance. They were catatonic with disgust. "Button your pants," said one as Billy went by. So Billy buttoned his pants. He came to the door of the little hospital by accident. He went through the door and found himself honeymooning again, going from the bathroom rack to the bed with his bride, on Cape On. "I miss you," said Valencia. "I miss you," said Billy Pilgrim.
Billy and Valencia went to sleep nestled like spoons, and Billy traveled in time back to the train ride he had from 1940, taken in 1944 from maneuvers in South Carolina to his father's funeral in Ilium. He hadn't seen Europe or combat yet. This was still in the days of steam locomotives. Billy had to change trains a lot. All the trains were slow. Coaches stunk of coal, smoke, and rationed tobacco and rationed booze and all the farts of people eating wartime food. The upholstery of the iron seats was bristly, and Billy couldn't sleep much. He got to sleep soundly when there was only 3 hours from Ilium, with his legs splayed towards the entrance of the busy dining car. Porter woke him when the train reached Ilium. Billy staggered off with his duffel bag, and he stood on the station platform next to the porter, trying to wake up. "Have a good nap, did you?" said the porter. "Yes, Billy." "Man," said the porter, "you sure had a hard on." At
He
3 in the
did.
morning on Bill's morphine night in prison, a new patient was carried into the hospital by 2 lusty Englishmen. He was tiny. He was Paul Lazaro, the polka-dot car thief from Cicero, Illinois. He had been caught stealing cigarettes from under the pillow of an Englishman. The Englishman, half asleep, had broken Lazaro's right arm and knocked him unconscious. The Englishman was helping him carry Lazaro in now. He had fiery red hair and no eyebrows. He had been Cinderella's blue fairy godmother in the play. Now he supported his half of Lazaro with one hand while he closed the door behind him with the other. "Doesn't weigh as much as a chicken," he said. The Englishman with Lazaro's feet was the colonel who had given Billy his knockout shot. The blue fairy godmother was embarrassed and angry too. If I had known I was fighting a chicken. Uh-huh.
Do you mind me interrupting you for a moment?
Oh yeah, of course.
Lazaro. The name Lazaro means God has helped and is of Italian origin. That's it.
Huh.
What does Lazaro do?
He had attempted to steal cigarettes and got knocked out quite easily. And he's being likened to a chicken in weight, so I suppose he was quite a lightweight person, as he was quite easily taken down by a person who played a woman in the play.
Hmm.
So the Englishman with Lazarus' feet was the colonel who had given Billy his knockout shot. Blue Fairy Godmother was embarrassed and angry too. "If I had known I was fighting a chicken," he said, "I wouldn't have fought so hard." Blue Fairy Godmother spoke frankly about how disgusting all the Americans were. "Weak, smelly, self-pitying pack of sniveling, dirty, thieving bastards," he said. "They're worse than the bleeding Russians." "Do seem a scruffy lot," the colonel agreed.
Mm.
German Major came in now. He considered the Englishmen as close friends. He visited them nearly every day, played games with them, lectured them on German history, played their piano, gave them lessons in conversational German. He told them often that if it weren't for their civilized company, he would go mad. His English was splendid. He was apologetic about the Englishmen's having to put up with the American enlisted men. He promised that they would soon not be inconvenienced for more than a day or two, that the Americans would soon be shipped to Dresden as contract labor. He had a monograph with them, published by German Association of Prison Officials. It was a report on the behavior in Germany of American prisoners of war. It was written by a former American who had risen high in the German Ministry of Propaganda.
Could you briefly describe what happened there in the last two paragraphs?
Well, in the last two paragraphs, the German major, he had come in and he was close friends with the Englishmen, and they were well, real tight together. And he had told them that they won't have to worry about the Americans much longer, as they're going to be shipped to Dresden as quote unquote free labor.
And then the bombing happens. Yeah?
Well, we aren't quite to that part yet.
His name was.
But
But what?
oh, I said, but yeah, we will be hitting that soon enough, of course.
Okay. His name was Howard W. Campbell Jr. He would later hang himself while awaiting trial as a war criminal. So it goes.
So it goes.
While the British colonel set Lazaro's broken arm and mixed plaster for the cast, the German major translated out loud passages from Howard W. Campbell Jr.'s monograph. A monograph as opposed to a sonograph or a photograph. What was it?
Yeah, I suppose it's kind of like a monologue, but it's more of like a
No, I mean the
monograph.
graphs that the Tralfamadorians used.
Oh yeah, I get what you mean.
Campbell had been a fairly well known playwright at one time. His opening line was this: America is the wealthiest nation on earth, but its people are mainly poor, and poor Americans are urged to hate themselves. To quote the American humorist Ken Hubbard, it ain't no disgrace to be poor. It might as well be. It is, in fact, a crime for an American to be poor, even though America is a nation of poor. Every other nation has folk traditions of men who were poor but extremely wise and virtuous, and therefore more esteemable by anyone with power and gold. No such tales are told by the American poor. They mock themselves and glorify their betters. The meanest eating or drinking establishment owned by a man who is himself poor is likely to have a sign on its own wall asking this cruel question: if you're so smart, why ain't you rich? There will also be an American flag no larger than a child's hand glued to a lollipop stick and flying from the cash register. Yeah,
Indeed.
I guess I'm reminded of, well, if you don't mind me saying, and I don't mean anything by it, I guess I am reminded of the way that you say I butchered it, but I guess that's not exactly 100% the same, yes?
Yeah, I suppose you could say that. Although, could I ask exactly why you might liken it? I think I have like an idea, but I'm not entirely sure if my thought process is the same as yours.
America is the wealthiest nation on earth, but its people are mainly poor, and poor Americans are urged to hate themselves. That's it basically. I guess you wouldn't really want to be a butcher, yet you'd say you butchered it.
Yeah, I think I know what you're talking about.
I have to get the door. Hold on.
Okay.
You gotta be kidding me.
Hey. So last I
Hi
was
there.
here, Lucas Aros was here. Now he said
Yeah.
goodbye.
I suppose it is getting late, and
Do you have work tomorrow?
well,
I'm not.
yes, I do.
Uh,
I have it like at 12, so we might be able to get to the end of the chapter, I think, but I don't know.
it won't be long.
Hmm?
It won't be long. I said.
Okay, sounds good.
Yeah. Um. Related to the book, I guess. The poor man, right? The poor wise man, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's Jesus,
Those
right?
3 wise men is sitting
No,
semi by the sea.
you know,
Yeah, there's a lot of poor wise men in history,
no, I mean,
including, I'd say,
no clothes on. Go on. Hold on, I'm gonna get the thing in the book. There's a lot of poor old
okay,
wise man in history. That's what you said.
yes.
Gotta ask, gotta ask yourself the question: where are you now?
Here, God said this. God said this from this moment on. He will punish horribly anybody who torments a bum who has no connections. Remember that one?
Oh yeah, I remember that. In relation to that, the author, the other author, the author that's a fictional author that was written for the sake of the book.
I guess this little thing, uh, this little part in the book in somewhat tied to the other part. Yes,
Yes,
one
I would.
one fictional author and also one fictional author related to another fictional author, right?
Yeah, indeed.
Except one is science fiction and the other is political, right?
Yeah, yeah. But I'd say they're both commenters on society, I suppose.
He became a doctor and he treated poor people in the daytime and wrote grotesque novels all night. Um, Poor Edgar Derby. So Edgar Derby was poor. I guess poor is used in multiple ways in this book. Not just the financially poor people.
Yes.
Poor as in um, someone who needs help. You know?
Yeah,
Someone
someone
who's
that
sick.
Someone who's sick, you said?
Yeah, someone who's sick.
Um, I wish I had the words to really describe this one.
Well, I wish I was a little bit taller. I wish I was uh,
Um, yeah. I
I
don't want
had
to
a
say just
girl
yeah.
who looked good. I would call her.
What are you thinking right now, Lucham?
I'm just thinking, well, poor, like a lot of other words, have multiple meanings of just, someone being worse off than another.
Hmm.
Where are we again?
The author of the monograph. That's where we're at.
Yeah.
The author of the monograph, a native of Cincinnati, New York, was said by some to have the highest IQ of all the war criminals who were made to face a death by hanging. So it goes.
So it goes.
I guess in a way, it's like what the Tralfamadorians are saying, right? They see things in the fourth dimension,
Oh, yeah, they do.
so they literally have another dimension to their perspective.
Well,
So
their dimension is, the ability to see time as just one large landscape as opposed to, well, they said seeing through just a pinhole.
yes. So in that sense of the word, someone can be poor, but they can also be rich in other senses, in other ways.
Yeah.
So if you're so smart, why aren't you rich? It's kind of downplaying the thing that someone who's poor may have going for them. You see what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
yeah. Yeah, I get what you're saying.
So you might be poor, but you wouldn't want to forget the things that you have besides being poor. Because
Yeah.
that's what the Tralfamadorians would see, right? They
Yeah.
wouldn't just see you at your worst, they would also see you at your best. They would see the entire you. And I guess that's what this is talking about. Yeah. Talking about, well, um, you know, you can either, and this is something that I feel like I've been thinking about a lot recently, is that you can either hold on to the things that make you dream, or you can hold on to the things that bring you down. So you can focus on the fact that you're poor, or you can focus on the fact that you you have a gift, basically. Yeah.
Well, yeah, as the Tralfamadorians put it, they prefer to focus on the better days.
Mm. And that's not too dissimilar to the fact that There will also be an American flag. I think this is a. It's what is it? Ironic, yeah? That's the word? Is that the exact word?
I think if I remember, irony is just the idea of like, your expectations being subverted.
Ironic? I guess that wouldn't be the word. But
Yeah.
it's basically hypocritical, is that the word? No.
Juxtaposition maybe.
I guess that's the closest word. The flag, when you fly the flag, that represents America, right? The American dream. Is that what they like to say?
Yeah.
So here you're bringing down yourself for what you don't have instead of focusing on what you could have, which is the American, which is why you fly the flag. Nori, I'm not. Please. Anyways, yes, you get the idea, right? I just wanted to say that. Where was I?
The author of the monograph.
I read that. So it goes. That's where
So
it
it
was.
goes. Yeah, that's right.
Americans, like human beings everywhere, believe many things that are obviously untrue. The monograph went on. Their most destructive untruth is that the very easy for any their most destructive untruth is that it is very easy for any American to make money. They will not acknowledge how, in fact, hard money is to come by, and therefore, those who have no money blame and blame and blame themselves. This inward blame has been a treasure for the rich and powerful, who have had to do less for the poor, publicly and privately, than any other ruling class since, say, Napoleonic times. Many novelties have come from America. The most startling of these, a thing without precedent, is a mass undignified poor. They do not love one another because they do not love themselves. Once this is understood, the disagreeable behavior of American enlisted men in German prisons ceases to be a mystery. I guess that's in reference to the cart. Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially the part where they all started to blame Billy for. They all started to blame Billy because he was kicking and screaming in his dreams.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
His dreams, oddly enough. Howard W. Campbell Jr. now discussed the uniform of the American enlisted in the Second World War. Every other army in history, prosperous or not, had attempted to clothe even its lowliest soldiers so as to make them impressive to themselves and others as stylish as experts in drinking and copulation and looting and sudden death. The American army, however, sends its enlisted men out to fight and die in a modified business suit, quite evidently made for another man. A sterilized but unpressed gift from a nose-holding charity which passes out clothing to drunks in the slums. When a dashingly clad officer addresses such a frumpishly dressed bum, he scolds him, as any officer in the army must. But the officer's contempt is not as is not as in other armies avuncular, theatrically, theatricality. Can you look up what avuncular is for me?
Yeah.
It is a genuine expression of hatred for the poor, who have no one to blame for their misery but themselves.
Avuncular is relating to an uncle.
Really? That's what avuncular is?
Yeah.
So is it like Uncle Sam's, is that what it is?
Yeah.
It's your turn.
A person at minister dealing with captured American enlisted men for the first time should be warned. Expect no brotherly love, even between brothers. There will be no cohesion between the individuals. Each will be a sulky child who often wishes he were dead. Campbell told what the German experience with captured American enlisted men had been. They were known everywhere to be the most self-pitying, least fraternal, and dirtiest of all prisoners of war, said Campbell. They are incapable of concentrated action on their own behalf. They despise any leader from among their own number, refused to follow or even listen to him on grounds that he was no better than they were, that he should stop putting on airs, and so on. Billy Pilgrim went to sleep, woke up as a widower in his empty home in Ilium. His daughter Barbara was reproaching him for writing ridiculous letters to newspapers. Did you hear what I said? Barbara inquired. It was 1968 again. Of course, he had been dozing. You're going to act like a child. Well, maybe we should treat you like a child. That isn't what happens next, said Billy. We'll see what happens next. Big Barbara now embraced herself. It's awfully cold in here. Is the heat on? The heat? The furnace, the thing in the basement, the thing that makes hot air come out of these registers. I don't think it's working. Maybe not. Aren't you cold? I had noticed. Oh my god, you're a child. If we leave you alone here, you'll freeze to death, you'll starve to death, and so on. It's very exciting for her, taking his dignity away in the name of love. Barbara called the oil burner man. She made Billy go to bed, made him promise to stay under the electric blanket until the heat came on. She set control of the blanket at the highest notch, which soon made Billy's bed hot enough to bake bread in. When Barbara left, slamming the door behind her, Billy traveled in time to the zoo on Trofmador again. Mate had just been brought to him from Earth. She was Montana Wildhack, a motion picture star. Montana, under heavy sedation, Trofmadorians wearing gas masks brought her in, put her on Billy's yellow lounge chair, withdrew through his airlock. The vast crowd outside was delighted. All attendance records for the zoo were broken. Everybody on the planet wanted to see the Earthling's mate. Montana was naked, and so was Billy, of course. He had tremendous wang. Incidentally, you'll never know who will get one.
I think that line needs no explanation.
Naturally.
Naturally.
Yeah, naturally.
Okay.
It requires no explanation.
So I throw the ball first and naturally gets it.
Huh? Sorry. Maybe I'm quite tired.
No. No. Maybe Project would have gotten that one, but even then, he wouldn't have said anything. Anyways, just know that I'm very pleased that just know that I'm very pleased that I was able to make that reference. Now she fluttered her eyelids. Her lashes were like buggy whips. Where am I? She said. Everything's all right, said Billy gently. Please don't be afraid. Montana, where's Montana coming from? Did I miss something?
Are you asking who she is?
She's a movie star girl. And
Yes.
she was abducted the same way, I assume.
Yeah, pretty much, more or less.
Montana had been unconscious during her trip from Earth. The Tralfamadorians had talked to her, hadn't shown themselves to her. The last thing she remembered was sunning herself by a swimming pool in Palm Springs, California. Montana was only 20 years old. Around her neck was a silver chain with a heart-shaped locket hanging from it between her breasts. So I assume that she has a partner.
I think I remember what that locket is. You'll find out later. I
Okay.
believe so.
She turned her head to see the myriads of Tralfamadorians outside the dome. They were applauding her by opening and closing their little green hands quickly. Montana screamed and screamed. All the little green's hands closed fit. All the little green hands closed fight. That can't be the word, right?
Let me take a look. Wait, close fight, which...
All the little green hands had closed fight because Montana's terror was so unpleasant to see. Close the light? Is that what it is?
Well, I think the way that the Tralfamadorians are set up is their hands are their... like, their eye is in their hand.
Yeah.
So they...
They close
well,
their
once
hands.
they close their hand, then they can't see.
Okay. I guess terror is the one thing that Tralfamadorians don't like for some reason.
I suppose so. Although there's a lot that they don't like, and well, that's why they say that they prefer not to focus on
Oh yeah.
things
Yeah.
that they don't like.
Yeah. The head zookeeper ordered a crane operator, who was standing by, to drop a navy blue canopy over the dome, thus stimulating Earthling night inside. Real night came to the zoo only for 1 Earthling hour out of every 62. Billy switched on a floor lamp. The light from a single source through the baroque detailing of Montana's body into sharp relief. Baroque referring to what? That's such a familiar word. Oh. Relating to or denoting a style of European architecture. Baroque. I think I heard this about music. Back when I used to write music. Let's see. So I guess she's European then.
Yeah,
Or
probably.
Anglo-Saxon like you.
Yeah.
Billy was reminded of the fantastic architecture in Dresden before it was bombed. Oh. Billy about to bomb her?
Possibly.
Should we say Putty Wheat after this one, or is the book going to do that for us?
I don't know.
In time, Montana came to love and trust Billy Pilgrim. He did not touch her until she made it clear she wanted him to. After she had been on Tralfamadore for what would have been an earthling week, she asked Billy shyly if he wouldn't sleep with her. Which he did. If he wouldn't sleep with her? It was heavenly. Oh. Oh. It's just the manner of speaking.
Yeah.
And Billy traveled in time from that delightful bed to a bed in 1968. It was his bed in Ilium, and the electric blanket was turned up high. He was drenched in sweat, remembered groggily that his daughter had put him to bed, had told him to stay there until the oil burner was repaired. Somebody was knocking on his bedroom door. Yes? Said Billy. Oil burner, man. Yes. It's running good now. Heat's coming up. Good. Mouse ate through a wire from the thermostat. I'll be darned.
Why?
Billy sniffed. His hot bed smelled like a mushroom cellar. He
Oh
had
shit!
had a wet
I
dream
just
about Montana.
hold up.
Wildcat.
I just leaked my fucking character catchphrase on stream.
How so?
Hopefully, no one's watching this.
How so? Well, there's one person. We do have one viewer. Don't disrespect our one viewer.
All right.
Is that kiss for them or for me?
Yeah, it's for them.
Both.
Both.
I'll take it. On the morning after that wet dream, Billy decided to go back to work in his office in the shopping plaza. Billy was booming as usual. His assistants were keeping up with it nicely. They were startled to see him. They had been told by his daughter that he might never practice again. But Billy went into his examining room briskly, asked that the first patient be sent in. So they sent him one, a 12-year-old boy who was accompanied by his widowed mother. Go ahead.
Yeah. They were strangers, new in town. Billy asked them a little about themselves. Learned the boy's father had been killed in Vietnam in the famous 5-day battle for Hill 875 near Docto. So it goes. While he examined the boy's eyes, Billy told him, as a matter of fact, about his adventures on Tralfamadore. Assured the fatherless boy that his father was very much alive still in the moments the boy would see again and again. Isn't it comforting? Billy asked. And somewhere in there, the boy's mother went out and told the receptionist that Billy was evidently going crazy. Billy was taken home, and his daughter asked him again, Father, what are we going to do with you? Yeah, I suppose you really could ask that.
Father?
Yeah, what are we going to do with him?
Yeah. That was a big chapter.
Yes, indeed.
So, I feel like the highlight of this one was the giraffes, to be honest.
Yeah, I enjoyed the giraffes.
If you were a furry, what animal would you be then?
Oh, that's a very good question.
Is that a question that you could answer then?
I'm not sure I rightly could.
Okay, could you take a guess then? Can I say which
Yeah.
one I'd be?
Sure.
Okay, I'd be a goat or a sheep. And specifically a sheep girl.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense.
What about you then?
Uh, heck, I'm still not sure I really know. Guess it's never really a question I've asked myself before.
Yeah, I guess not.
Yeah.
You ever had dreams about being an animal?
I have not.
You've not.
No,
Can't say I have either. Um, nope, can't say I have either.
okay.
Yeah, when I dream, I
I
usually just
I
stay
once
as
played
myself.
pretend that I was a fucking shark
Oh, you did? Do we have a Shark Boy
and a
situation?
dinosaur.
Oh, I hope to have dreams very soon because I need to be up at 9, which is about 7 hours from now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And maybe you
Those
could
are
wish.
tough.
Maybe you could wish
Hmm?
to be a rat, so you could be nocturnal.
Yeah, I feel like that'd be something that I almost identify with, I suppose. I don't know.
Maybe not a rat. We'll say a furry then.
I'd say a rat's apt.
Okay. Are you sure you're not just copying Reggie then?
No, I'm not thinking like a Reggie rat. I'm thinking, like a black-haired rat. Like,
Like a legit rat?
yes.
Like Tom? Like Jerry?
That's a mouse.
Well, the same thing.
Like a proper rat. Like,
It's not Otter and Mr. Mouse. It's not Otter and Mr. Rat. It's Otter and Mr.
So like what then, the jam?
like this stock image of a rat.
Okay. I like that.
Yes.
Is this permission to make the jam anime girl a rat girl? I was gonna make her
Yeah,
a
I
sheep
suppose.
girl. I guess I was putting too much of myself into it then, huh?
No, it's okay.
Well, that's the end of chapter 5. What do you have to say at the end of chapter 5?
I suppose, well, really, this is kind of the chapter for me that kind of really puts stuff together where, they're kind of explaining how he sees, well, Charles Midorian see the world,
Mm-hmm.
and the idea that they only decide to look on the good parts of it really kind of resonated with me the first time I saw it.
In what way?
Oh, it kind of showed me that, as bad as things are, you have to kind of look on the good sides of what you may see as bad, where you might think that your life is boring, but that's kind of doing a disservice to life if to call it boring when really a good serenity is almost better, I'd say.
Hmm. You ever watch that Vsauce video about being bored?
I've not.
Well, then you should watch it then.
I probably should. I've actually never watched a lot of Vsauce.
Okay, hold on. I even know the title. The title is Why Do We Get Bored?
Yeah. Yeah, I should check it out.
You know how many times I watch Vsauce?
How many?
A lot of times. Multiple times, repeatedly over years. Speaking of Vsauce, I actually found a science fiction author that I think is pretty interesting. It may relate to the book.
Oh, that's cool.
Have you heard of Isaac Asimov?
That's a no.
No. Well, when you get back, I'll try to have something to say. And when you get back, I mean like next week. Okay?
Yeah, when I'm done
Roleplay.
sleeping.
Yes. Next
Is,
week after tonight, after you get some well-deserved rest, I'll tell you about Isaac Asimov. How about that?
All right, yeah, that sounds good.
Okay.
Well, I guess if that's that, have a good night, Alan, and have a good night, Rojak, and have a good night, our one viewer.
Good night.
Okay. Good night, Project. Good night, the gym.
Yeah.
There you go. That's the best I can do. Okay. I'm not good at puckering my lips.
All right, I'm gonna go probably take the fattest nap of my life until I have to get up
Okay.
and go to work, I suppose.
Okay. Bye. Bye. My name is Adam Cover.
Hi, my name is Adam Kovner, and this is Adam Ruins Everything. Today I will be ruining anime car with my new M4A